Welcome back to another episode of Those Two Dudes. It's that dude, Josh.
That's that dude, Ruben.
Happy New Year, everybody. It's been a minute. We've been on a little sabbatical. Josh is finding more Titan gear to wear for no reason whatsoever. But
go back. Look, we're in that one spot now, baby. It's time to make that Super Bowl run.
It's good to be back. Good to be back. I know it's been a little while. Obviously, we've missed a ton, mostly in the NFL. First episode of 2022. So super excited, Josh. Hey, we're 1 month away from having done this for a year now. So that's pretty crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy. But either way, man, it's been fun. But yeah, man, we got to dive into all the mess, all the nonsense we missed, especially this past weekend in the NFL. God, we missed a ton. Like always, guys, we're everywhere, all social media platforms, at Those Two Dudes podcast on Instagram and TikTok, at Those Two Dudes, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify. Check us out on Spotify. I always have to keep saying that. I love when y'all guys listen to us on Spotify. That's fun. But check us out, guys.
Hit the notification bell so you can get all of our newest YouTube videos.
All the notifications. Don't you just love it when you get notifications from us? That's the best. Check us out, guys. Leave us your thoughts and comments. So we got to dive right into the NFL, man. I know it's been a little minute. We missed a ton. Thankfully, the most recent news is the biggest news of stuff that we missed. We got to start with the Antonio Brown situation. For those that don't know, he quit mid-game, took off his clothes, took off the pads, made a big ordeal, hitting out the end zone, walked off the field, said peace. They cut him immediately. This is the second to last game of the season, and they're in a serious playoff hunt. He is a key player. He has had history of this before. Now he's also saying that he didn't want to play, that they made him play because it was a severe ankle injury. I don't know, man. There's just so much to unpack here. What's your take on all this?
I mean, look, you're especially him. He's a professional athlete, grown man. You don't just quit in the middle of the game. I don't care if you feel like they're pressuring you to play. If you don't want to play, just sit down. Literally, just sit down. Don't play. But don't make a scene. Don't tear your jersey off. Like, that's something you expect maybe out of like a seventh grader in middle school or something like that. But you are getting paid millions. You're a professional athlete. Act like a professional athlete. So yeah, him getting cut. Yeah, it shouldn't be no surprise. It's what should have happened. In regard to also, I seen some other stuff like tweets going out, like people defending him, like, oh, he might have issues or something like that. We shouldn't be so hard on him. I'm like, bro, he's a grown man. Maybe he has issues. Maybe he needs to get help, but he still warrants the criticism, I guess you could say.
Sure.
You should have never done that. What else did you ask there?
Well, I mean, just what's your take on all this? Because of everything that's happened, it'd be something if it just happened, right? And he has no history of it. So you kind of be like, oh man, is he okay? Like, I can understand why people would want to wait for judgment, right? They want to look at everything. He has history of this. And so, right, I'm by no means am I dismissing the idea that something may be wrong with him. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain that something most definitely is wrong with him.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people, there was people that saying that we shouldn't be saying nothing about him, but a lot of the people were just saying that he needs to get help, which, he obviously needs some kind of help. Like, he has a pattern of this behavior. Like, it's not normal to just act like this frequently,
Yeah.
Like, you're a grown man, you're a professional athlete. So yeah, obviously he probably has something going on upstairs that ain't necessarily right. So yeah, people saying for him to seek help or he needs to get help. He shouldn't be acting like this. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. The dude needs to get help.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he does need to get help. I think whether he gets help or not is the question. And I think his biggest downfall honestly has been his support system. I don't know, what kind of support system, if any, he has. And, I know for a little while he was living with Tom Brady. Tom Brady had him get back on track, if he wanted to play with the Bucs. And it seemed like everything was getting right there.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, it seemed like everything was good. Look, they won the Super Bowl last year.
He caught
We
a
haven't heard
touchdown
too
in the
much,
Super Bowl,
we haven't
so
heard too much drama on his end over the past year and a half or whatever it's been. And then all of a sudden, just boom. So yeah, the dude probably needs a little bit of help.
yeah. So I mean,
I
in all honesty, time away from football is what he needs. So this, even though the way it happened, obviously it's not ideal, and it makes for a conversation that we're having now. But the fact that he's out of the NFL, this is a good thing because you hope that now he gets help.
Yeah, and then also, he was like 8 catches away and a touchdown away or something from getting all these bonuses too.
That equated up to $1 million.
Side story there. Yeah, it would have been like there was like 3 bonuses you could have hit, and they would have added up to about $1 million. So I don't know, man. But just the dude. I hope he gets the help he needs too. Like I don't hate Antonio Brown. Like he's a really good receiver.
Yeah.
I hope he gets the help he needs.
Yeah, same. So obviously that leads us to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now, right? You lost Chris Godwin for the season. You're arguably your best receiver. You lost Antonio Brown, your third best receiver on the team. They have weapons. They have a ton of injuries now. Is this too much for the Bucs to overcome in the playoffs?
Man, I'm never counting. If you have Tom Brady, I'm not counting you out. I don't care. I don't care who's injured, who you don't have. If you got Mr. Tom Brady, I'm not counting you out. So could it be? It might be. It might be too much, but they still got Mike Evans, right? I mean, and then you still got the GOAT.
Yeah, you still have Mike Evans, who actually just came back from an injury. So, is he 100%? I don't know. I think they don't, right? They lost Leonard Fournette. I don't know for how long. So, I mean, right, like you said, is the GOAT. You can never count out the GOAT. And at this point, I stopped assuming, oh, well, this will be the year where he starts to decline. I stopped worrying about that. But I think just for an average football player, because of the drama, because of the injuries, right, you can set Tom Brady aside. You can assume that this is too much because this isn't about Tom Brady. This is about everything else. This is about all the other uncontrollables that are something that he has no control over. I mean, so I personally think it is too much.
But look, as long as they protect him, he's gonna find a way to get whoever's playing receiver the ball. Right? That's what Tom's always done.
Yeah.
He hasn't always had elite receivers throughout his career.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done what he's had to do. You protect him. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to read defenses, and he just makes it work.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have a couple of receivers out, yeah, I know they're really good, but still, Tom Brady's the GOAT. So if they could protect him, I think they still might, at least on the offensive side, they have a chance.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, so now that leads us to the NFC, right? So far you have the Packers who've clinched home field advantage. So if you're going to go to the Super Bowl and you're Tampa Bay, it's going to have to be through Green Bay. It's going to have to be. You have obviously Tampa Bay. They already clinched the division. They have home game. You got the Rams who look like they're about to clinch. We'll see. And then you have the Cowboys who clinched, but they look like they're on the decline. And then you also have the Cardinals who clinched a playoff spot, but it's still up in the air with the division. And then also the Eagles clinched the division. They clinched a playoff spot. So the last spot comes down to either the 49ers or Saints. With all that in mind and everything in the picture, who is the biggest threat in the NFC?
Are we including Green Bay? Or are we saying?
Yeah, including Green Bay. Who's the biggest threat in the NFC? Who's going who's the biggest threat to take the NFC?
I mean, probably Green Bay, right? I mean, look, the road goes through Lambeau. Like, that's one of the most difficult places to play. It's going to be freezing freaking cold when any team goes up there in the playoffs. You got Aaron Rodgers, another GOAT, not the GOAT, but, little GOAT. I just look right now. It's them. If you want to say who overall might have the most talent, I'd probably go with the Rams. But they still have to go. They have to go from playing in LA to playing in Lambeau. Can they do that? Maybe. I don't know. But look, the Rams were my Super Bowl pick, so I'm gonna say they'll pull up. I'm gonna say they're gonna pull an upset.
Okay.
They didn't look good early on, but through the last stretch of the season, they kind of took the NFC West. I think they need a win this week to clinch the division, right?
Yeah, and they have a game. So they got some actually, it's not a for sure thing that they win the division because they do have to win. They're playing at home against the 49ers, who also have to win just to get in. So it's a must win for San Francisco. The Cardinals are hosting the Seahawks. So
wait. So the final playoff spots between the Niners and the Saints, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So if the Niners lose, the Saints still got to win.
The Saints still have to win. Correct.
And who do the Saints got?
Good question. Give me 10 seconds. I'll find that answer for you, which I hope the Saints don't win because it looks like they just snuck in there. Because, in all honesty, they have no shot of winning a playoff game. You can book that.
They've put up a hell of an effort for what they have, especially at quarterback, what they've had throughout the year.
I say that's on Sean Payton, man. Sean Payton did that.
But they put a hell of an effort up to even be in this position.
So the Saints play at Atlanta, a division rival. Saints are 8-8. The Falcons are 7-9. Not terrible. And also the last time they played in New Orleans, Atlanta won that game.
Yeah, but at this point, how much does Atlanta really care? Like their season's over regardless, right?
Their season.
Maybe they want to knock the Saints out or keep the Saints.
Yeah, you'd like to keep your division opponent, your conference division opponent out of the playoffs if you can. I don't know. There's a lot to be had.
Yeah, that Niners Rams game though, that's big. So
yeah.
I don't know.
So you got the Rams. I think the biggest threat is Green Bay. And I think if Green Bay doesn't at least make the Super Bowl, I can understand why Aaron Rodgers would leave because this is back-to-back years having the 1 seed and you're not going to the Super Bowl. And I would argue that this team is better than last year's team. And
how are you gonna leave? Like if you're that good, unless it's completely somebody's fault that it's not guaranteed that you're gonna win when you get in the playoffs. Like where's he gonna go?
Well, look, this conversation was to be had in the offseason because he's already expressed all his interest about leaving Green Bay.
Yeah. We'll save that for another day.
Yeah, we can talk about in the offseason because I do ultimately think he will leave. He's also teetered about retiring. He's not retiring. He's not retiring when he's an MVP favorite. You're not retiring.
I heard, speaking of MVP, I will say, look, no, let's just touch on that.
Tell me.
I've heard of MVP voters not voting for him because of that COVID situation.
There was one. Yeah. And also, mind you,
he was a Bears.
He's a Bears fan.
Right?
Yeah,
right.
that needs to be taken into consideration.
But who knows if there's more? Like
I'm sure there are. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that's bogus, I think.
But also think about it, right? That leads to a bigger conversation, when they start to consider how you were outside the field, because think about the Hall of Fame, right? That happened to T.O. The voters didn't want to vote T.O. into the Hall of Fame in the first ballot because they didn't like him. So,
right. That's pretty ridiculous too. T.O. was a beast, like hands down a Hall of Famer, no doubt.
So maybe, it matters how you are off the field as well, not just on the field.
I agree to an extent, but look, man, like that's it. Like his team clearly didn't suffer because he did that stuff. Like the number 1 seed, they clinched the number 1 spot in the NFC throughout the playoffs. So
yeah,
he didn't really affect them to any degree to where they should hold it against him. His numbers are ridiculous. Like, come on.
Sure. Yeah, no, you're right. We'll see. I do have the Packers for the sake that, they are seemingly the best. They're the best team in the NFC. It'd be an all-time meltdown if they didn't make the Super Bowl for sure. You got the Rams. We'll see. I do like the Rams. They're stacked on paper. They look nice, but Matt Stafford, he's been in the league a while. He's never made any serious. He's never won a playoff game.
Never never been on a serious team.
He's never won a playoff game, so you're putting all your faith in him, and they've rolled the dice on this season, right? They gave up their draft picks. They're all in on this season, so we'll see how it plays out.
On to the AFC.
Yeah, switching over to the AFC. I love this. The AFC. I love watching the AFC. This past week was that Chiefs, the Bengals game. Ooh, that was good. I love that.
Hey, speaking of that Chiefs Bengals game, that was huge for my team. That the fact that
they got the 1 seed because of that
gave us the 1 seed going into the last week. We still got to win this week, but we're going in as into the last week as the number 1 seed. So
I got a 2-part question right here. So we got Titans at 1, clinch the division. Chiefs at 2, Bengals at 3. I love that the Bengals clinch their division, by the way. I love that. You got the Bills, who all but clinched their division. And then you have who else is in that? Who else? Let's see who else.
New England.
Did they clinch? Yeah, they clinched a playoff spot, right?
Playoff spot, yeah.
Okay, New England.
They still have I think they still have an outside chance at the number 1 seed. I'm not sure if they do or not.
And then you have the Colts. The Colts have to win against Jacksonville, and they'll clinch a playoff spot. And then you have the Raiders and the winner of the Raiders and Chargers. Now get this.
Yeah,
if the Jaguars lose or they beat the Colts, both the Raiders and Chargers can get into the playoffs if they tie.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Do you think that that's a possibility? Now, first of all, the Jaguars beating the Colts is highly unlikely. I'm looking at the spread now.
That's what's got to happen. I thought if they just tie straight, like if they just tie, they both get in. I didn't know there was a
no. The Jaguars have to beat the Colts. The Jaguars have to beat the Colts, and then if that's the case, because it would say the winner of the Raiders and Chargers would get in. However, if they tied, they both get in. Right now, it's a 15.5-point spread, obviously, for Indy. It's at Jacksonville. Dude, Jacksonville is awful. They're awful. Urban Meyer, obviously, he was a big issue. The firing was warranted. That's not a great team. And I don't want to call Trevor Lawrence a bust, but he looks awful too. I watched that New England game this past weekend.
You cut out there for a second. I didn't hear what you
I'm saying. Trevor Lawrence looks terrible, and I'm trying not to call him a bust, but he looks awful.
Call him a bust. He's a rookie. How are you going to call a rookie a bust? He's got all the attributes you need to be a really good NFL quarterback.
He's thrown 10 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. He's on
a terrible team. He was with the college coach, and he's a rookie. What do you expect?
He's just terrible, man. I watched that game against the Patriots. Like, I don't know. I mean, again, right? I'm not calling him a bust. I don't want to yet, but it was awful. But that's what it is. That's what it is. He's going to be on Jacksonville for a while. He needs to figure it out.
They need to find some stability, especially some leadership. They need to find a coach that they're just going to let be there, knowing he's going to lose the first couple of years, and then just ride it out.
I mean, I don't know. Look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati was awful, and then they hired Zach Taylor, and then first year they brought Joe Burrow. He killed it for the first half of the year. They did okay, and then he got injured, out for the rest of the season.
They pulled the necessary strings. They got him a weapon at wideout, and it looks like they might have the right coach there now. So yeah, they pulled the necessary strings. In the NFL, you can come up quickly, but usually it does take a few years.
Well, for Cincinnati, it's taken 2.
Yeah, that's not how it usually works, though. Like, that's an exception. Come on.
I mean, I hope it. I mean, and I say that because I do love that Cincinnati is doing really good, and I like Joe Burrow. I love Jamar Chase. He won me my fantasy championship game this past week, 55 points. Let's go.
Right, you won your fantasy league?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I mean, yeah, okay. So again, right, going back to it, who do you think is the biggest threat in the AFC? I know for a fact it is not Tennessee. And you can be honest with that.
Why you gotta hate on the Titans?
I'm not hating on the Titans. I mean, I just
we're
don't think
going
it's
into
Tennessee.
the last week of the season as the #1 seed without our best player, Derrick Henry, for half the year. Come on, what happens? They said he's coming back. Who's gonna stop us? We're getting healthy at the right time of the year, home field.
Maybe the Jets will stop y'all.
But to be honest, I'll still probably roll with the Chiefs just because of how much talent they have overall. But I do think the Titans got a legitimate chance at coming out of the AFC. I don't think we're the best. We probably because one of our style of play is
Run heavy.
We're run heavy. So we're gonna probably be in lower scoring games typically, which is gonna let other teams stay in the game. So who knows? We could get beat.
Well, see, also that's the downside too, that because you're a run heavy team, if you go down 10-14, it's an uphill battle catching back up.
And look, Tannehill, he's solid, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. So we don't have the best quarterback in the NFL. But overall, as a team, and then with Henry coming back healthy, I think we got to. And if we could just win this weekend and clinch that bye and get home field throughout, then I think we have a legitimate chance.
Okay, so you got Chiefs, and then you think a bit of a dark horse, or maybe even more than that, is Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee would be my second team right now.
Okay. I have the Chiefs, and then, dude, I got the Bengals, man. And I got the Bengals for the simple fact, exactly that. They're too young. They don't know what playoff pressure is like because they're just so naive. Like, I just think of these young basketball teams that make the playoffs and they make runs, and you think, oh, well, they're going to turn it up a notch. They don't know any better. They don't know to do it. And that's why they're kind of just playing, for whatever. They have nothing to lose. I think the Bengals are like that. Dude, they can score at any given time. They got the quarterback. They got a fairly decent defense. They got the run game. They're balanced on offense.
What about the Patriots?
They have a great defense. They're very conservative on offense. I don't see them lightening up. I'm kind of like Tennessee. If they're down 10-14, I think they have a hard time catching back up.
Isn't it similar to the way they utilized Tom Brady in his first Super Bowl run?
It is. Yeah, it is.
So you never know. They still got.
But also New England in Tom Brady's first run, they had home field.
Fair point.
This New England team does not have home field.
Yeah, probably won't have any home games, right? Because the Bills are probably going to win the division.
Yeah, and also I don't trust the Bills. I mean, that's not to say that they won't go far. I don't trust the Bills. I don't trust Josh Allen.
They were up and down. They were expected to be one of the elite teams in the AFC this year, and they're kind of up and down for a big part of the season. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sold on them right now either.
Cool, man. Ton of football to be played. Love to see it. Can't wait. This is the last week of the NFL season. I know you'll be at the Titans-Texans game watching. You'll be there to show us firsthand. What the atmosphere is like in front of tens of fans at the Texans stadium. I'm almost certain there's going to be more Titan fans there than Texans.
Yeah, so. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people wearing Oilers gear as well, like on both sides. You'll probably see some Texans fans wearing Oilers gear and Titans fans, which is interesting.
Yeah, that'll be cool. But man, looking forward to it. I know we'll dive into all things NFL playoffs once the seedings get finalized next week. So that'll be really exciting. Next up, man, college football. We missed a ton of bowl games. I know we always have our rankings, but obviously that's over with because the bowl games are here. They've all been played now. I know, have you been watching some bowl games this offseason? Any thoughts?
I have not tons, but I've watched a handful or so. one of the biggest things for me, one of the things that made me the happiest is seeing the small schools go 5-1 against the Power Five or whatever you want to call them, and
Is it?
also the new Big 12, I believe, was like 5-1 against the current SEC this year too. So those were two big things that I like. I believe it was 5-1. I could be off there a little bit. I know Cincinnati lost to Bama, but I think other than that, the new Big 12, what would be considered the new Big 12 outside of Texas and Oklahoma, I think they all won against their SEC counterparts.
Yeah,
So,
Big 12 had a great showing this bowl season. They had big wins. Oklahoma State, that was a great game against Notre Dame. They came back, and that was a big win because Notre Dame is playing with their new coach, and so you thought they'd come out there with a lot more spirit and kind of put a whooping on Oklahoma State. Yeah, that was a very impressive win. Obviously, Oklahoma won theirs against Oregon. Big 12 looked good. Big 10, they're all right. SEC, by virtue of having every team in the conference in a bowl game, they're
6 and
okay.
8 though. I mean, obviously they got the two teams in the national championship, but outside of that, they didn't do too great. So then you get the Twitter war. You got those people that are like SEC, like they're way far and above, top to bottom, better than any other conference.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got those people that say that's nonsense. You got Bama, and they just kind of carry that little everybody on their shoulder, and that's what it is. So you get that back and forth going on Twitter, and it kind of helps the people that don't like the SEC when they see their teams going 6 and 8 in bowl games. So that back and forth is always it's funny to me. I like watching the people go back and forth. I don't get too much into it, but I think it's funny anyway.
So looking at the rankings, or not rankings, but results by the conference, do you take any stock into the fact that the Pac-12 went 0-5 in the bowl games?
I wouldn't necessarily, just because I wouldn't typically, for probably most conferences, considering you get these opt-outs and like players, coaches leave before these bowl games are even played. So a lot of times it's hard to see if these records mean anything. But when you consider the fact that the Pac-12 has not, even in the regular season, they don't look great. The last few years, I think there's something to say about that. Like the Pac-12 is just not. It's not a great conference. I think the Mountain West Conference was just about, maybe slightly under, but pretty close to on the same level as the Pac-12 this year. Yeah. Mountain West, I think, had the best bowl record, actually, I think, of all 10 conferences. So the Mountain West, I think, was very good as far as what they're considered in the pecking order. And I think Pac-12, yeah, I mean, they went 0-5. They didn't do very good against the Mountain West this year, I don't think. And BYU also beat Utah, who was their conference champion this year. So, yeah, I think there's a little bit to be taken from that.
Well, I hope Lincoln Riley knows what he's doing going to USC.
Yes, he might get that thing turned around. And, yeah, I definitely would not be surprised if he did, honestly, in the next couple of years, because he's a well-respected coach already, and he's going to another name brand school. So let's see. Usually when you have successful coaches from one name brand school go to another name brand school, a la Urban Meyer or Nick Saban from LSU to Bama, they usually do pretty successful. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln Riley turns that thing around pretty quick.
Thinking of Lincoln Riley real quick, what are your thoughts on Caleb Williams entering the transfer portal?
Man, I don't like it, but I understand it. Like, he's just playing his cards, bro. Like, he's like, man, I could just hop in the transfer portal and I'm going to
make extra money.
I'm going to see who's going to give me the best NIL deal. So, like, I understand it, but at the same time, like, bro, I hate it.
This is what we signed up for. I
didn't sign up for this, but yeah, this is what the people signed up for. Definitely the majority of people.
So, yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. And it's going to happen far more than not. I read a stat that said this year in D1, around 1,440 players entered the transfer portal. On average, that's 11 players per team.
That's ridiculous. Of the
Insane.
100, yeah. Yeah, that's about right.
Insane.
So that's what, like over 10% of each team's roster? Over 10% of each team's
Oh
roster.
yeah, over 10%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Closer,
like it.
honestly, closer to 20, about 15 to
But
20%.
there's another thing I read on Twitter is that, like, of all those people that transfer, a higher percentage of those players end up out of college football or going to a lesser division school than the school they were at originally. So
I didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's like a fact, but it's something I read on Twitter. It seemed legit, so I don't know.
Okay. We'll see how it is, man, because think about it though. If you're a big school, like this is going to happen to you, but then it's also going to happen for you. So just take that as a
Yeah.
grain of salt.
Really, that's any school in the FBS, honestly, big school or little school. Like,
Yeah, yes and no. Like I wouldn't say, of the group, the G5 schools that wouldn't really happen as much.
I mean, look, sometimes they get their top players plucked, and sometimes they get solid players from Power Five schools that
That
maybe
didn't that
got in
didn't get any playing
trouble, or
time.
they were playing, or whatever. So yeah, it definitely goes both ways. I
It
think
goes both
for
ways.
all the FBS schools. So I
Okay.
don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's where we're at right now.
So you did bring up a good point on talking about, the opt-outs on the bowl games. I know you had some beef with what ESPN, their take, specifically Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard, what their takes were
I don't know
on
if I
players
have any
opting
beef
out.
with that. I don't know if I have beef with that or not.
But go ahead and refresh everyone's memory and explain where how you feel about that.
Well, this is my thing. Like, they took tons of heat, no doubt, from the Twitter mafia. Like, they were attacked big time. And I don't like ESPN. I think they're bad for college. It's how they have a monopoly on college football. I think is bad for the sport. But as far as, like, what are their main points?
Well,
They don't like
explain what they
players.
did. Explain what they did.
Well, I don't know their verbatim quote. I didn't watch it, but I think what their main point was, they don't like players opting out of these bowl games. Correct? That's the
Yeah,
main
they
point.
don't. Yeah. So the thing is, players are opting out of bowl games, and yeah, and I don't know it verbatim, so we're paraphrasing here, but their beef was saying, oh, well, these players don't love this generation of football players doesn't love
Don't love
football.
the sport. Yeah, the way the past generation
Yeah.
did. Yeah. Look, it's not black or white. There's like there's a lot that goes into this. I don't think that statement's necessarily true. But at the same time, like, I get it. Like, if you play for a team, you sign up to play for a team, any sport, whatever level, like, finish that journey with your teammates. Like,
Yeah.
this is what you signed up for. If you get hurt, you get hurt. Hopefully you don't. And most of the times you won't. Like, it's only going to happen so often. Like,
But see, also on the flip side, you have your Matt Corral situation. You have your Jalen Smith situation at Notre Dame when he went to the draft and fell in the third round instead of a first round. So I don't know what the extent of Matt Corral's situation is.
It could also happen at any point in the season.
Of course.
It's not just like, how far down are we going to go with this? Like, eventually, are we going to have people that play 1 or 2 years, so they opt out their whole junior year because they already know their stock's high, and they're gonna.
Didn't Jadeveon Clowney do something like that?
No, I don't think he did. I mean, he played for some year. I think he played for at least 3 years, right? I don't know.
I feel like somebody did that. They opted out almost their entire senior year, junior year to prepare for the draft.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that, but yeah, I mean, this could go further and further, like, to the point where,
I mean, it got to the point to where people like Quinn Ewers, the number 1 recruit out of South Lake Carroll here in Texas that went to Ohio State, who now transferred and is at UT. He opted out of his senior year in high school to go. Now, in fairness, he did that. Well, I mean, I guess you could say it's a mirror image, but he did that because he took advantage of the NIL. So he was getting paid.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate that. Like, I mean, one, he's getting paid, but outside of that, I don't like. He played 3 years with his high school. He had the opportunity. I guess he had already graduated high school. Like,
yeah, he graduated also high school, and that is key to know
yeah,
because it's hard to graduate in 3 years.
He's done with high school. He had that opportunity. I'm okay with it. Like that's
Yeah.
one level to the next. That's like going from college to the NFL. If you want to go to the college NFL after 3 years, that I have no problem with that either. So that's a little bit different. But like opting out during the season, and I think that's too much. Like you started this journey at the beginning of the season, you're in the off season, you're in the trenches, you're going to work with your boys. Like just finish that journey. And I think that's what ESPN's main point was. But to say they don't, then you say they don't love the game like past generation. That's a little bit much because one, you don't know how they feel about the game. Two, it's not black and white. Like they're looking
Exactly.
out for
It's not
the
black and white. It's not.
future of them and their families. So it's not like we know that they don't love the game. Like they're legitimately like think there's more to it than just it's black. Or just
100%. You know, if these players are projected in the first round and a top 10 draft pick, and they're saying, oh, well, you know, you're going to make millions if you get drafted in the top 10. We'll say, well, let me not play this one game to protect my body and to get my body right for the NFL combine, so I can make money and set my family up for success that hasn't had success our entire lives, who've been living, you know, under the poverty line. You know, to say that they're opting out of that game, that they don't love football, that's a joke. That is a joke. And like you said, it's not black and white. There's a ton of gray area in this, and I get it. I think selfishly though, just looking at it, if you're projected like in the third or fourth round, or they don't know where you're going to go, and then you opt out for the NFL combine, like relax, chill out. Like you're not playing this one game isn't going to jump your rankings up to the projected first or second round. Like chill out.
Right. No, yeah, I agree. Like if you're like the number 1 or 2 pick or something like that, and you know that, and you're playing in like a bowl game where there's 2 6-6 teams involved, perhaps I still don't necessarily like it. Like I just think you've made a commitment to the team. You should finish your journey. But I also get it. I see both sides, honestly. So like I said, like we both said, it's not black and white. It's just it's a hard situation.
So going to the teams that did play, we're talking the college playoffs, the Final Four. I know Cincinnati had a ton of weight on their shoulders. They played Alabama. I watched the game. It wasn't really that exciting.
They didn't do great, but
it wasn't a blowout.
They didn't look like they didn't necessarily belong. Like it's not like one of these teams is an NFL team and the other team should be like junior varsity in high school or something. They didn't.
Yeah, I watched that game and I was like, there's nothing about this game that makes me think, oh, this is the last time a G5 school is going to make the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, I guess just to put it bluntly, they look like they belong. I would
Bama,
rather see.
To be fair though, to be fair to Cincinnati, like they did just as good against Bama as pretty much any Power 5 team outside of maybe like Georgia would do. Like,
so I was gonna say, I'd rather see Cincinnati and Alabama play 10 times than watch Alabama play Notre Dame once.
Yeah, because it's probably going to be like 45-7. And
it's always like that. It was like that in the national championship game. It was like that in the playoffs. It's always a blowout with Notre Dame. They're frauds. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Cincinnati. But yes, they belong. Fortunately for Cincinnati, they won't have that problem of being asked if they belong anymore because they'll be joining the Big 12 in 2 years. So
hopefully, right? 2 years? Is it 2 years?
2024
after
or 23?
I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know either.
Texas and OU ain't supposed to go to the SEC until 2025.
My guess is that this is the last year for Texas and OU in the Big 12.
That's what I was thinking. I've seen other stuff lately that makes it seem like it's quite possible that they don't actually go until 2025. So I'm not really sure.
I just cannot see them in the Big 12 with Cincinnati, Houston at the same time.
A long time, right? It seems like a long time. Like in a lot of I don't know, man.
I can't see that happening.
They owe a lot of money, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
So the Alabama-Cincinnati game wasn't entertaining. It was what we thought it was, but also, Cincinnati looked like they belong, which I guess, if you want to look at moral victories for all the little people, it was a bit of a moral victory.
Hey, another moral victory outside of the playoffs, just real quick, is again the 9-8-5 won every other game against the Power Five in the bowl season. I think they went 5-1. So they had a heck of a bowl season. So
Okay.
yeah, just a little point there.
Okay. The other side of it, Georgia and Michigan. I think one would argue Michigan didn't look like they belonged.
Yeah.
Georgia beat the hell out of them.
I mean,
So
it just shows that like even a great team could look bad against a
the
Bama
SEC.
level team, SEC, not just the SEC. Like every now and then you'll see that as Clemson,
The elite, the elite of the elite.
Yeah,
teams.
the elite of the elite. And then you got all these other really, really good teams, but there's usually only one or two elite.
And there's a huge discrepancy between those really good teams and the elite teams.
Mm-hmm. And then there's an argument like, would the playoffs change that? I think it could change if you expand the playoffs, just because you'll have more access for more teams. Maybe recruits will start going to those other teams. Maybe not. I don't know. I think as long as Nick Saban's at Alabama, they're going to be like, they're going to be right.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. And then they got the Heisman winner, Bryce Young, who is scheduled to be starting quarterback again next year. So, there's no reason to think Alabama won't go undefeated again next year. But hey, we got an SEC championship game again, Georgia, Alabama. The last time they played in the national championship was a great game. So I know, there's going to be people, especially in the North and the West, possibly central part of the region of the U.S. that just aren't interested in this game. This is going to be a good game. I am excited to see it.
I don't know if I am, but I do think it'll be a good game. And I think I'm leaning Georgia. I thought Georgia was the better team throughout the season. I know they lost the SEC championship game, but I thought they were the better team this year. So I don't know. They're 3-point favorites in Vegas right now.
I'm looking at it right now. It's Georgia minus 2.5.
There you go, 2.5 now.
I would take Alabama. I would take Alabama plus 2.5.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Anytime Bama's
Bama was plus 6 go into the SEC championship game, and they blew out Georgia.
Yeah, I know. I'm still, I don't know. For whatever reason, I'm leaning Georgia just because I thought they were the more complete team. Bama didn't necessarily look great in multiple games this year, but maybe they were in cruise control because they're Bama and they can be in cruise control. So
yeah,
who knows? I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, man, we'll see how it goes. I'm super excited. College football, I'm excited because playoff time. I'm excited because national championship time. But Josh, right behind all this excitement are tears because that means we're coming up on the end of football.
Yes, it does. Yes. It's always, football, is it really legitimately the longest off season? Because it definitely feels like it.
Well, yeah, because it's the shortest season.
6, 17, 18. I mean, is it?
Yeah, you have.
I
guess people are so invested now with preseason and off season. So it's like the NFL has a life shelf, full year, but that's really ESPN's doing. And then you have shows like Hard Knocks now that, makes you interested in the preseason. So from season to season, NFL definitely is the shortest season. It's from September to February. So
it is. Oh my God, off season. Sometimes when I get to the summer, I'm just ready for football already. Like it's just dragging. Like by like mid-June, I'm like, bro.
You're counting down the days till the opening of training camp.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's tough sometimes, especially when you get to mid-June. Especially not being a huge baseball fan. You get after basketball season, which is what I think
it ends in around June. Yeah,
right?
mid-June.
Yeah. After that, you're just like you want something to watch, and I'll watch some baseball here and there, but it doesn't. It's not enough for me. I need a little bit more.
On the flip side, I appreciate them doing that with the NFL because I'm very much invested. I'm looking forward to it. I count down the days to training camp. I don't count down the days for training camp and summer league for basketball because ESPN really tries to push that narrative, like, the summer league.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn about summer league, and I don't care. Like, it's just not
Some
interesting.
diehard NBA fans do.
I know some people do.
I used to. I think I used to invest into it a little bit more. Not so much recently. I guess that probably has to do with my team being terrible right now, and I don't know.
Our team is terrible.
Yeah, our team. Yeah, we have the same NBA team.
Yeah.
I think if they were like competitor, like at least like a 50-ish win season or type team, maybe I'd invest a little bit into what our rookies are doing in the summer league. But
yeah,
right now, yeah, it's tough. I've probably watched more Phoenix Suns games this year than I have my own team, to be honest. That's like my second team right now, and I think I've probably watched them more than Spurs.
I've watched, you know what? I had a parlay going the other night. It was a 17 parlay, and I had the first 6 teams hit. And then I had Phoenix. I had Phoenix just the money line to beat Grizzlies at home. And Ja Morant hit a layup with like half a second left to win that game.
Brutal.
Ruined me. So yeah, that was a tough watch. I stayed up late for that because that was a West Coast thing, but I stayed up late just to see.
Right?
Yeah, it was late on a weekday. That was brutal, but yeah, man, I'm excited. Also, a side note on sports, talking about the Spurs, Josh, our own Becky Hammon, she just took over the head coaching job of the Las Vegas Ace in the WNBA. Also, I read that she's not only is she going to be the head coach, but she's also going to be the GM.
Oh, really? Well, that's good for her. I thought there's a chance she might become a head coach in the NBA.
That's what I was hoping for. That's what I was hoping for.
It's an awesome gig, especially if she's head coach / GM. That's good for her. And maybe it is. Maybe that's like a step in. Maybe that's another stepping stone. Get some assistant.
Yeah. Are there any? I mean, look. I'm not a fan of the NBA. The WNBA. I don't watch it. I know you don't, and I don't know if there's a listener out there that watches the WNBA. So I say that because are there any women GMs in the WNBA?
GM. I think there is. I do think there is. I thought there was one that took some heat a while back.
I don't know if there is or not.
Yeah, look, I'm just talking. I really don't 100% know. I do believe there is. But
okay. I mean, if there is, awesome. If there's not, look, Becky Hammon, she's opened the doors for a lot of women in sports and in the coaching aspect, which is awesome. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool to see her. I am going to miss her on the Spurs bench. And I was hoping that she'd replace Pop because, I mean, how many more years does Pop really have as the coach of the Spurs?
I was hoping Duncan would, but
Duncan doesn't want to. He doesn't want to.
He obviously doesn't want to. So that ain't happening.
I was hoping Pop, or I was hoping Ime Udoka, who's now the coach of the Celtics.
Head coach? I didn't know that. I haven't even got fully invested in the NBA mode. That usually doesn't happen until after football's over with.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I guess that's a pretty premier job to have, head coach of the Celtics. So I can't imagine he would ever leave that job for the Spurs. But I could see Becky Hammon, in 2 years if Pop retires, her coming to the NBA and interviewing for that job.
I would not. Honestly, would not be surprised.
No, I would appreciate that. I would like that, but we'll see. Time will tell. But hey, man, we're back at it. We got more to talk about. We got a ton. I know there's going to be more stuff on the those two dudes umbrella. We got more stuff coming out. Maybe some stuff that's not so sports. I don't know. Check it out. But obviously, like always, check us out at Those Two Dudes Podcast on Instagram, on TikTok. Those Two Dudes on Facebook, Twitter, and Spotify. I got to say that 1,000 times. Spotify. Go listen to us on Spotify. But yeah, man, let us know in the comments who's going to win the national championship. Alabama, Georgia, in the NFL. Who's your biggest threat in the NFC, in the AFC? Yeah, let us know your thoughts, man. I know it's been a crazy year, so it's kind of crazy to be back at it, but Yeah, man, we look forward to it, and we look forward to whatever this year has to bring us. Last thing, Josh, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
No, I don't. I don't pay attention to that stuff too
You
much.
don't pay
Like,
attention to New Year's
no,
resolutions?
maybe about 10 years ago or so, but no, I don't. Like, if you're gonna do something, just do it. You don't got to just wait for the New Year's to do it. Like, come on,
That's
man.
fair. That's fair. Okay.
What about you? What do you got?
Lose about 30 pounds in 2 weeks and save about $25,000 by my next paycheck.
There you go. Those are some lofty
So
goals you got there.
so really all that means is I have to start playing the lottery and play scratch offs every single day.
And what about that 25 pounds? What do you got to do for that one?
Well, I mean, I've been working out for the better part of a few years now, and I've maybe lost a couple pounds here and there on accident.
It just counteracts the wings and whatnot that you're eating, right?
I gotta tell you, man, I've been looking at these drug addicts on the street, and they look really thin, and it just makes me wonder.
Yes, I've never seen. Never mind. I'll leave that alone. I'll leave that alone. Never mind.
Yeah. Well,
right.
we look forward to obtaining these New Year's resolutions. So we'll see how that goes. But check us out everywhere, guys. Hit the notification bell, subscribe, download, tell all your friends, everything in between. It's that dude, Josh.
That's that dude, Ruben.
Like and subscribe. Follow.